He's an attacking player, he's a creative player, he makes assists. I just think you're limiting him there, in that role that he's playing at the minute, in that defensive midfield role.
Is there so much onus on Bryan Mbeumo to be creative, to be the one that gets the goals in this United team?
Yeah, and Ahmad is in a good position where he should be looking to create as well, but Sesko has got to find someone and get a link, a little bit of an understanding, which is obviously going to take time. But from Chelsea's perspective, they'll be coming in today thinking, this is a great opportunity for us.
Did you like the performance in Munich, Gary?
I did. I thought they went toe-to-toe with Bayern at times. I think, obviously, look at the game on reflection, it's two individual mistakes. It's cost them. On that level, you get punished by a man we know very well in Harry Kane. But yeah, I was impressed. I enjoyed the game. I think today it's about how fresh are these players going to be. Hopefully they're fully rested. They will have been back early hours Thursday morning.
But is it also a test of Chelsea's development, a game like this, coming so soon off the back of a really difficult Champions League away game?
Yeah, and that is going to be this season for them now. So that's the next step for this young squad. You look, I think there was 8 players that made the debut in the Champions League. So this squad is still developing. It's definitely going in the right direction. You've seen that towards the back end of last season and the start of this season. I fancy Chelsea in this game, even though it is at Old Trafford.
Look at that weather as well. It'll be a case of following shots in, keepers' mistakes, making sure you slip. As a defender, it always makes it a bit more difficult as well, Gary.
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah. But I'll be interested as well, just from a football fan point of view, is to see how Man United go about this game and look at this system and see if there is any tweaks in this system, because it's not working so far.
Don't hold your breath. You might have to, actually, in these conditions. Old Trafford is absolutely saturated, but will those Manchester United fans in the Stretford end be singing in the rain after the end of this one tonight? Manchester United taking on Chelsea and watching on for us. Alan Smith is alongside Rob Hawthorne. Good evening to you, Rob. Hope you covered up.
Yeah, waterproofs on, Dave. And the conditions at Old Trafford sum up the mood at Old Trafford, really, for Ruben Amorim at the moment. After the Derby defeat, that was one of the crumbs of comfort they had last season, not losing to their local rivals. But the chasm was clear last weekend. Not only has Ruben Amorim been sticking to his system, he had until today stuck to the same goalkeeper and back three. Altay Bayindir remains as Senna Lamens waits for his chance in the cut and thrust of the Premier League. But Harry Maguire comes in for Lenny Yoro in the first change to that defensive trio. The only other change from the team that lost at Manchester City sees Casemiro dislodge Manuel Ugarte. Bruno Fernandes plays his 200th United game. Bryan Mbeumo and Amad Diallo provide wide support, while Benjamin Sesko starts a game at Old Trafford for the first time. Mason Mount, a Champions League winner with Chelsea, and Matheus Cunha return from injuries to make the squad. Enzo Maresca starts with 9 of the players who also began Wednesday's Champions League defeat in Munich, where Robert Sanchez, despite conceding 3 times, still made some impressive saves. Tosin Adebayo drops out, and Wesley Fofana, who played the first half at right back in the draw at Brentford, comes into the centre. Moises Caicedo, who scored here last season, has already been among the goals this term, registering in both away matches domestically. Esteval's first Premier League start came when Cole Palmer pulled up after the warm-up at West Ham. Tonight they start together. And João Pedro, a goal scorer in each of Chelsea's wins this season, again leads the line. 3 weeks on from leaving Old Trafford, Alejandro Garnacho makes a prompt return in Chelsea blue. Well, they've seen glimpses of Šeško here, Alan. Tonight they get to see it from the start.
They do, full home debut, and he'd be well aware that Old Trafford eyes will be fixed firmly on him to see how he does. They say he's felt a little bit overawed in these early weeks about the size of the club and the expectation heaped on him, but it's amazing what a goal can do, so he needs one of those. Moises Caicedo is in there somewhere, and he's picked up where he left off last season, really dynamic in that middle ground with his tackling and leading of the game. And it's an area of the pitch that could be vital tonight. He's got the legs over Caicedo, over Casemiro and Fernandes, especially with Cole Palmer dropping in. Chelsea may be able to dominate that centre ground.
Well, no let up in the rain. Ruben Amorim, who had quite a successful start as Manchester United boss, predicted when that happened that there would be a storm coming, but perhaps even he didn't envisage just how long it would last or the kind of buffeting that he's got as United boss. His team trying to get off to a good early start here. Mazraoui forced back to Matthias de Ligt as Chelsea sit in deep to begin with. Cucurella blocks the attempted cross from de Ligt, and Estevao gets it away, but to no one in particular in Chelsea blue.
Yeah, Estevao started on the left-hand side, the youngster. Pedro Neto over on the right, his favoured side.
It's picking holes in this Chelsea defence. That's going to be key now for Manchester United. Ruben Amorim, who always looks quite jovial and relaxed in the build-up, and then the first whistle goes and the pacing starts.
Yeah, I mean, they've become more attack-minded, if you like. They're having more shots on goal, but in terms of being clinical, they're a long way off.
Well, that's what he's called for, isn't it? Clinical finishing and aggressive defending. He feels they've been doing a lot right in the middle third, but not in the areas where it really matters. And Burma going in to try and be aggressive there and unsettle Sanchez, which he did to a degree, but then Mbeumo withdrew himself knowing that he would have been offside. Here's Cole Palmer back in Manchester, and Estevao is tackled by Mazraoui, who wins the throw.
Yeah, saw him at West Ham, Estevao, a few weeks back when he did well over on the right side on that occasion.
Player who scored against Chelsea in July when he was still a Palmeiras player, knowing that he would be moving to Stamford Bridge. Here is Bruno Fernandes on the occasion of his 200th game for Manchester United. Back from Dorgu to Luke Shaw. Shaw and de Ligt, the two who've started every Premier League game so far for United. De Ligt is the only one who's finished every game. Now Dorgu getting his cross away, Šeško on the reach and Burmo coming in, and it was straight at Rob Sanchez. Mazraoui swings it back in, Chalobah defends it, back in by de Ligt, it's Dorgu, and he has it taken off his toe. Reece James stopped him from getting his shot away. Vibrant start from the home side.
Well, it's quite a tight angle for Mbeumo. And what a goal-saving challenge this is, as he's just pulling back his leg, Dorgu.
Reece James, who hasn't always been used as a right back by Enzo Maresca in his more regular role today, and certainly Chelsea were glad he was in that position at the right time to deny Dorgu.
Yeah, he's played in midfield, did in Munich in the week. At times I've seen him in the middle. He's looked a little uncomfortable, so he'll be glad to get back to full back.
On by Šeško, and Burmo's in, and Sanchez takes him down. It's certainly a free kick. And was there enough cover there to prevent it from being a clear goal-scoring opportunity?
Well, there's two Chelsea defenders.
It's a red card. He's shown the red card to Rob Sanchez, and what an horrific start for Chelsea.
Yeah, as I said, there were two Chelsea defenders chasing back. It was 2 against 1 in Chelsea's favour, but the ref still feels that's an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. It's a big, big call. Certainly a foul. He was late on the scene, a poor challenge. Šeško wins the flick on, and his teammate is onto it like a flash. Yeah, I mean, he might have got there ahead of Fofana, ahead of Caicedo. It's always a subjective decision, that one.
But it's been confirmed, VAR agrees with the on-field decision. There is no way back for Sanchez.
Yeah, I don't think VAR are going to go against the ref on that occasion. What a start.
So as Sanchez makes his exit, on comes Philip Jorgensen. Chelsea's Conference League winning goalkeeper, seeing his first Premier League action since February. And the man who's having to make way as a sacrifice is Esteval, just 4 minutes into his second Premier League start when that red card was shown, and he's the man who's had to come off. Well, not the most inviting conditions for a goalkeeper to come into. The rain has been relentless, and he's staring into a situation here in which Fernandes and Mbeumo might fancy themselves. Looks like it's going to be a double change here from Chelsea. Neto is also coming off, and Tosin Adarabioyo, who played in midweek and was left out from the start today by Maresca, is coming on. And is this already going to be a change of system to cope with the fact they're down to 10?
Yeah, well, I've got three centre-halves on there. Maresca just having a word with Reece James, his captain, to explain what he wants. And Fofana telling him.
Well, what an extraordinary start this for Chelsea, who are having to reorganise themselves after sending off an enforced substitution to replace the goalkeeper, and another one that Enzo Maresca has decided to make to try and cope with the fact that Manchester United have the extra man. Fofana just being pushed back deeper as the referee, Peter Bax, who's already had a busy start, makes sure now the wall is a full 10 yards away.
I'm sure Fernandes fancies it. Is he going to pull rank on Mbeumo?
It is Fernandes, strikes the wall, and Mbeumo on the follow-up. Touch on its way through, but didn't quite dip enough.
Started his career well, hasn't he, at Manchester United. Brian Mbeumo looked confident and composed.
Yeah, even amidst
whilst they rearrange and try and find a pattern now.
positive actions from the goalkeeper. They are in there organising, so he offers them leadership on his return to the team. Drifted in and cleared by Fofana. Amad Diallo tries to strike it back through, but cleared by João Pedro. So basically it looks as though they have strung five across the back here, Chelsea, for the period in which they're defending. Here's Diallo, back to Dorgu. Bruno Fernandes. It's Dorgu's cross, Mazraoui was waiting on it. Cleared by Adrabao. Here's Mazraoui. And Burmo. De Ligt. Maguire. Now Shaw. Fernandes. Casemiro to De Ligt. Flies in front of Šeško and Amad Diallo.
Well, he anticipated the flick on. Nothing complicated about this. Šeško's a big lad and he wins that comfortably. Burmo's eyes light up. Sanchez just too slow on the scene. Surely. Big Sam there as well.
Well, he could demand a card from there, couldn't he? And he got his wish.
It's like a 5-2-2 now for Chelsea.
United looking to break through with Burmo again, who's caused Chelsea havoc already in bringing that foul out of Sanchez. That's really shaken up the visitors from the start. Expect that to be pretty much the pattern from now on, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, so often it'll be 5-4-1. Keeping Cole Palmer quite high up the pitch next to João Pedro, Maresca is at the moment. But how many times they're going to get a chance to build the attack into United's half, we'll see.
On the stretch is Wesley Fofana. Undone by a long throw late on at Brentford. So what does Dorgu have in his locker here?
Everybody's doing it now,
Except
apart from
him.
on this occasion.
Shaw is freed. Took Herrera there with him and he lost control of it anyway. Enzo Maresca is Chelsea's 9th different manager since the last one to win here, who was Rafa Benitez. It's a quirk actually that of the upheaval that has been here since Sir Alex Ferguson stood down, none of his successors have lost a home match against Chelsea. That's 7 in total, including 2 interim managers, Ralf Rangnick and Ruud van Nistelrooy. Mazraoui's cross, and Burmo left it to Dorgu. Fernandes! On the occasion of his 200th appearance for Manchester United, he was in the right spot to turn it home. The flag has stayed down for now, though of course it will be checked.
Yeah, he might just be disappointed here. We'll wait and see. The linesman giving him the benefit of the doubt. Taken away from him. Nearly have gone for the jugular, but there you see it. Well, certainly Šeško was off. Ooh, is that right leg of Chalobah? Keeping him on. Might well be actually.
Well, the United skipper has to wait to see if Peter Banks is going to award it on the advice of VAR. Craig Pawson is on VAR duty today, and it is being checked closely.
Yeah, you're hoping these kind of incidents just get cleared quickly with the added technology.
Well, it is tight, and Peter Banks is just telling them just how tight the margins are and why the decision is taking some time. He is hoping and praying that this fine start that United have made is going to be rewarded with this goal counting. Enzo Maresca is just getting frustrated at the amount of time that it's taking to clarify this. It's a landmark day for Bruno Fernandes, his 200th game for the club, and with that goal, his 100th for the club.
Well, he might be playing in a deeper position, but he was Johnny on the spot here. Chalobah tries to step up, but steps up a little too late. And United's captain leading from the front, putting his side ahead.
Well, you'd have to say it's a goal that United start has warranted. Casemiro is on a yellow card though now for this challenge on Enzo Fernandes.
A great one, not necessarily one on.
Well, the mood has changed here now. Fernandes. Dorgu. On by Fernandes. And Burmo calls one!
Well, it looks like being a long evening for Chelsea, the way things are panning out. Burmo certainly fancies it.
And Burmo and Fernandes, central figures in what's happened in Manchester United's favour so far.
Thankfully, it didn't take too long. When it is this tight, you've got to be sure. There you go.
Now, a third substitution already coming up here, and Andre Santos is going to come on.
When they had something to defend at 0-0, 5 at the back, maybe makes sense, but they're just getting nowhere, Chelsea. The ball keeps coming back.
There's Rari with the delivery. It's headed back by Reece James. The arm was up from João Pedro, and he caught a lick in the side of the face.
Just caught the back of De Ligt's head. João Pedro. Six to them.
not quite Robbie Savage's 4 substitutions after 1 minute, but it is 3 substitutions after 20 for Chelsea, and Cole Palmer looks distraught at the fact that he's coming off to be replaced by Andre Santos. Frustration there for all to see from the man taken off, but it's needs must at the moment as Chelsea try to stem the tide.
Well, if they want to get back into this game, Cole Palmer's the most likely man to do it. But whether he's carrying a knock is another matter.
He's heading straight off is Cole Palmer. He's only managed 1 touch in the 20 minutes that he was on the field. And he makes a very disconsolate exit. Son of Manchester, actually grew up as a United fan, even though he ended up representing the blue half of the city.
Time for a bath for him, I think. No point in sitting on that bench.
Santos. Here's Enzo Fernandez. Pedro couldn't draw it in, but Santos helps him out. Correa attempting the cross, which deflected off Mazraoui. Has gone for the corner.
First chance they've had to go forward since the goal. They've done well, haven't they, from these corners, particularly well at West Ham a few weeks back. Mind you, everybody at the moment seems to do well from corners against West Ham.
Yeah, it was 3 of those 4 that were scored there. Just getting in that near post area all the way out to Caicedo, who can strike a decent ball. That one is defended by United, and Dorgu looks to make headway. It wasn't the ball that Amad Diallo needed. Gave Caicedo a chance, which he took.
Yeah, I mean, that's lack of concentration really from Dorgu. Such a simple pass. They've got red shirts streaming forward. I'm feeling this attack was going to continue.
And Manchester United have bounced back from their last 4 losses in the derby to beat their next opponents. The last defeat off the back of a loss to Manchester City was the one that ended Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's career here at Watford. In terms of turning around the derby defeat to get a win here, they've been given a helping hand by that red card to the Chelsea goalkeeper. Casemiro. This is De Ligt. Now Maguire. Adebayo just easing Šeško out of the way. Opinion, it was a blow to the head, which is why medical attention has been called for by the referee.
Yeah, Cucurella just got there second. It was a fair challenge from Mazraoui.
It's just a greater height from Mazraoui that then saw him come down on top of Marc Cucurella. Cucurella, whose goal was the difference when these sides last met at Stamford Bridge back in May. Well, all a little calmer up there, you would think, at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment it looks like being a comfortable evening's viewing, but who knows, who knows.
Well, he won't want to hear that a draw has been the favoured outcome in this fixture in the Premier League era, because draws not good enough really for a Manchester United team who started this game in the bottom four in the division. Started the day 14th, but slipped as a result of earlier outcomes. Here's Casemiro. Headed back by James. That's sending off Robert Sanchez, the second he's had in his English career. He was sent off against Newcastle in his Brighton days. Jorgensen having to try and get himself out of a bit of a hole. Good ball with which he picks out Trevor Chalobah. Good turn by João Pedro. Cucurella. Fernandes forcing Fofana back. Took by Shaw. Too heavy though for Dorgu. James. On by Pedro. Reece James. Caicedo. Back to Chalobah.
Yeah, key jobs for these wing-backs now, Cucurella and Reece James, to get up and help that attack.
They were looking for, but cleared by Dorgu. Manchester United will come again. Challenge by Wesley Fofana, had to time it right. Here's De Ligt. On by Mbeumo rather hurriedly. Cleared by Adebayo. And Mazraoui off the ball. There was an incident between Cucurella and Mbeumo and the Chelsea player, the offender.
Just pulled him back.
Captain and former captain in discussion.
Well, they might have another centre-half on Chelsea, but still tend to fancy United when Maguire's in the team. Uncanny knack of getting his head to the ball in these situations.
It's got a straight line from Chelsea to try and deal with it, and the kick goes short in the end to Mbeumo, who does try and clip it across. But Jorgensen saw that one all the way.
Now, Luke Shaw was the man up against Enzo Fernandez, I think it is. Just trying to delay the counter, which he does. I think the ref was looking.
From Fernandes. De Ligt. Here's Mazraoui. Another free kick in against Marc Cucurella. Diallo's made the run inside, and Fofana had followed him and was able to just shepherd it out. Well, Chelsea's all-conquering women team are in action tomorrow in the WSL against Leicester. It's live from 11 o'clock on Sky Sports Football. And the next international break here sees Old Trafford host Rugby League's grand final. The eliminators start on Friday. The Leeds Rhinos duo of centre Harry Newman and prop forward Sam Lissoni are hoping to be on the field rather than in the stands that day, and probably hoping the weather would be a bit better than it is today as well. Here's De Ligt. Cleared by Fofana, but only back to De Ligt. Fernandes with a touch. Now Mazraoui. De Ligt with a cross. Cleared by Adebayo.
Some untidy defending from Chelsea at the start of that United attack. They have been a bit up and down defensively this season, Chelsea.
United, who were playing with a great deal of verve even before the sending off, have carried that on. Here's Mbermo's cross, cleared by Adebayo. And now Pedro claiming he was caught then by De Ligt. The referee wasn't interested. Pedro only now back on his feet. Dorgu's cross cut out by Reece James.
Well, looking at the game, you wouldn't expect those kind of stats. Chelsea continually shoved onto the back foot.
Well, we've already seen them make 3 substitutions, Chelsea. The earliest any team in the Premier League has done that. Just 2 more at his disposal, and he can use 2 slots, of course, if he brings another one on at the start of the second half. Here's De Ligt. Now Fernandes. And Bono into the path of Amad Diallo. Well, he was working in very tight margins. It has been tucked away, but the ball had clearly gone out.
Yeah, I mean, he's got quick feet, but as you said, there just wasn't enough space to do what he tried there. No doubt about that.
There's Casemiro, who went through the routine of sticking it in the back of the net anyway. Maguire. Here's Chalobah. Dorgu. Here's João Pedro. Just got a touch of the ball, and Pedro feeling he was caught. Šeško. Diallo. Mazraoui's free if he can find him. Mazraoui! Flag was up.
I think he knew he was offside. But up the other end, VAR still looking at a possible penalty. Mazraoui on João Pedro. No, not enough in that.
And again, the on-field decision stands. to his evident frustration. Well, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong pretty much for Chelsea. A week in which Manchester United have already had the greater preparation time. They've had that midweek commitment and then have been beset with difficulties from the start here. Sending off of Sanchez, it must be an injury, you would think, to Cole Palmer for them to have taken him off too. The touch is heavy from Jorgensen and Burmo. Šeško got back on side, but Fofana tidies up.
Yeah, I think they've given the corner. Good opportunity this for Šeško there to get off the mark. Up against 10 men with his team dominant.
Corner was played short, all the way back to Mazraoui, looking for Dorgu at the back post.
Poor header.
James though, the pressure's still on, and it's turned in by Casemiro. He just loves a goal against Chelsea. That's his third against today's opponents. Manchester United sitting pretty with a 2-goal advantage.
Well, they've got all those defenders, Chelsea, but they make an almighty mess of trying to defend this. In many ways, similar to the first goal. United getting to the ball first. Dorgu wants to get involved. Do you think the chance has gone with that poor header back in? But then Reece James miskicks the clearance. It's all about desire, getting into that ball.
There's been a bit of a bust-up going on. There was certainly a confrontation going on between Fernandes and Luke Shaw. I'm not sure if anything led to that in particular. Just a little brush from Shaw then onto Enzo Fernandez. And then one or two others got involved, something and nothing really.
Yeah. Swing at it from Reece James. Luke Shaw gets a run on it just to prevent a clearance, and I think he gets a clean connection. Maybe comes off a Chelsea head, but Casemiro's on his toes the way Fernandes was.
Glimmers of hope for Ruben Amorim as Casemiro scores his first Premier League goal since last October. And sliding in on the tackle there on João Pedro is André Santos. Now Cucurella to Chalobah. Fofana's lost out to Diallo. Šeško's in the middle if he can find him. Will it run to Mbeumo? Cleared by Chalobah. Chelsea get away with another promising United attack.
Yeah, could get a little messy for Chelsea this if they're not careful.
Maybe we are seeing a response to what Ruben Amorim called for, a bit more aggression in both boxes.
Yeah, I mean the sending off came from that long ball out from Boyendier, and Šeško winning the header and Burma getting onto it, direct football. Trying to turn Chelsea, and they certainly managed it.
Delict. Here's Shaw. Good tackle by James. No option to the left there for João Pedro. He's really struggling to get any kind of support. He'll be glad to hear the referee's whistle for the kick.
Yeah, I thought he'd held on to it too long, but manages to win the free kick. Allows Chelsea to get blue shirts forward, get the ball in the box if they can. Anybody long throw for Chelsea? Reece James perhaps.
James who stepped forward to pick the ball up, but goes short anyway to Enzo Fernandez. Show of strength from Luke Shaw. We've seen it from him actually in both boxes now, which his manager will applaud.
Yeah, got a bit of criticism for his performance against Man City, but he has got a nice pack on his groin, Cole Palmer, and it wouldn't make sense to bring him off. He's the main man, the man most likely to grab something, so another blow for Chelsea.
Enzo Maresca must feel like he is operating with one hand tied behind his back at the moment. Maguire's header. Back from Enzo Fernandez. Chalabar has to ensure he's there ahead of Mbermo. Cucurella on by Santos, but given away to Maguire. It's Bruno Fernandes, tried to tee it up for Šeško, when in other circumstances Fernandes might have been tempted to take it on himself. Sign perhaps that they're desperate to see the Slovenian get his first goal for the club.
Yeah, I mean, it's that kind of occasion, having plenty of opportunities to go forward and pick the passes. Maybe not expecting it, Šeško there. Didn't have any touches against Man City in the opposing penalty area.
It's Diallo's cross, Mbermo. Cucurella, who'd been pushing his luck with a series of challenges anyway, so there was little doubt that for this one he was going to see a yellow card.
Yeah, he's not far off from getting a touch, but he doesn't. Mazraoui gets there first.
Well, he needs to calm down, Marc Cucurella. Already a man light, and also with the hands of Maresca tied in terms of protecting players by substituting them.
Yeah. Haven't got many cards to play with at all.
First half. That long stoppage while they check Bruno Fernandes' goal. It is Fernandes with this free kick. It's a disappointing one, cleared by Cucurella, who'd given it away. Mazraoui and Mbermo. Swung round by Casemiro, all the way out to Patrick Dorgu. In by Diallo, in front of De Ligt. But Casemiro keeps the momentum going here for Manchester United. Here's Mbeumo. Mendes was challenging for it, as is Matthijs de Ligt. It's cleared though by Wesley Fofana. Very much a backs-to-the-wall job this for Chelsea in this long period of first half stoppage time. Casemiro found himself surprisingly short of options then, Casemiro. And Mbeumo. Here's Maguire. Maguire, but Fofana not really able to take advantage of that.
We haven't seen too many occasions like this under Amorim where the players can perform without much anxiety. Certainly the fans watching will be on the edge, wondering how things are going to pan out. Their team well on top. Don't have to go anywhere very quickly at the moment. Will continue, no doubt, into the second half.
Fernandes tried to play through Amad Diallo on this occasion. Here's Shaw. Dorgu pulls it across. Adebayo gets it clear, but the flag is up. Well, Ruben Amorim won his first game here against Everton, and since then the only victories they've had under him were against Aston Villa when the goalkeeper was sent off, and then against Southampton and Ipswich, who was subsequently relegated, and this season against Burnley, who of course came up last year, and against whom they saw 2 leads cancelled out before finally winning it.
Well, he's thinking surely it's going to be our day today. They started in a really positive frame of mind. Got the ball forward quickly.
Caicedo. Here's Cucurella. João Pedro. Run back by Santos. Now Caicedo couldn't steer it through accurately enough to Enzo Fernandez. Casemiro. There's Diallo. Šeško had set off through the middle, but he's looked to Mbeumo, who's beaten to it by Chalobah. Fernandez has picked out Santos. Pedro in a wider area than Chelsea might have wanted him then, but they've won a free kick and this is their chance to get men forward. And Casemiro is going off here. It's the second yellow and the numbers are evened up. Casemiro, who was booked earlier, is sent off for a second yellow card for that challenge on Andre Santos.
Well, the first challenge was just such a silly one, the first yellow card. And when you're on a yellow, I mean, he gets the ball, but it's pulling back Andre Santos that earns him the yellow card. Talk about making life difficult for yourselves. Totally on top, Manchester United, and then that happens.
Well, cards shown at distance to the Chelsea dugout. We would assume it's to Enzo Maresca, who was booked in Munich. This isn't an unfamiliar feeling for Casemiro. It's the 4th time he's been sent off as a Manchester United player.
Well, certainly the tackle was okay, but presumably he's been booked for putting 2 arms on his man, pulling him back.
Well, that's the first lift he's had.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
Caicedo and Cucurella's free. Well, that was the frustration that Amorim felt at this decision.
I mean, I don't see that as a booking, in all honesty. I always think there should be a slightly higher tariff on a second yellow, and that didn't meet it for me.
Yeah, that is the normal form. Caicedo. Cleared by Maguire. James with a cross. Delict will need to see it hit so heavily that it goes all the way across.
But he's got such quality in his delivery in these situations, Reece James, and maybe he'll get a few more chances now, 10v10. Wonder whether Maresca will stick with that 5 at the back now, going into the second half.
Well, he's got Alejandro Garnacho up his sleeve. I'm sure he would love to come on here and make an impact. Didn't get a very good reception from the United fans in the warm-up. Run back by Delict. Adebayo. Santos. Fernandes trying to find a way through the middle for Mbeumo, but it didn't materialise. Here's Fernandes. James making the run in from the right. Dolby, though, stood his ground. Cleared to Fernandes. United looking for a free kick and getting it.
Well, bit of work to do for him, maybe just rejigging the shape of his team. Got some choices there.
Well, he's only got 2 substitutes left. It's a great start to the half for Manchester United after the sending off of Robert Sanchez and Bruno Fernandes then giving them the lead, which was added to by Casemiro. But right for Ruben Amorim at the end of the half, a big disappointment when Casemiro himself picked up a second yellow, which despite a 2-0 lead here from... Well, we're finally underway again. Chelsea trailing but encouraged by that late first half sending off of Casemiro. You can see how the water is kicking up when the players' boots land on it now. And that may just be a little bit of a concern for all and sundry.
Yeah, it's not letting up. Maybe Chelsea will want it to come down even harder. But they're still definitely in this game. They get a goal, and Manchester United, a team that's won just 2 of the last 13, doubts are going to creep in.
And Maguire was doing his level best there to prevent a quick free kick from being taken, because Chelsea, as a priority, want to get the tempo up here. And it is going to be difficult on a pitch which may start to hold up. So trying conditions for the managers as well. Didn't look that way for Ruben Amorim with the way his team started. Fofana. Harry Maguire. Lost a bit of composure then, Maguire just really gifted the ball back to Chelsea. Kind of playing Mbeumo and Amad Diallo as a narrow two, really, aren't they, since the substitution with Ugarte coming on?
Yeah, I mean, Amad's dropping in, and it's a 5-3-1.
Yeah, Mbeumo will be the main focal point of the attack. Well, Ruben Amorim's technical area is absolutely waterlogged. So unless he wants to go for a splash, he might have to bend the rules a little bit and get a little bit closer to the touchline.
These balls played in these areas, if you're the opposing player, you want to follow up on them. In case he does just stop, get stuck.
Short. It's going to be another yellow card here. Enzo Fernandez is on Ugarte.
Well, it's not the kind of challenge you want to make or you want to face. Leading with the 6 studs. Maybe an amber, that one. He's maybe seen the replay.
Mbeumo with a kick. Jones tried to clear. Calls for hands there against Cucurella, who's swept it to safety for now. Mbeumo has managed to somehow drag the ball through with him. Dorgu takes it over. There's going to be a bit of concern here if the safety of players is jeopardised. We've already in the Northwest had the Blackburn-Ipswich game today abandoned 10 minutes from the end. Even though the numbers have been evened up, are still pressing well. Challenge on Amad Diallo. A referee initially inclined to play the advantage, but then brings it back, shows a yellow card to Chalabar and awards the free kick.
He's come in with some force. He's a fraction of a second late getting the ball. Got to make 1 or 2 allowances. These kind of challenges in these conditions, but not for him.
Chelsea, with their goalkeeper already sent off, now have 3 players on yellow cards: Chalabar, Fernandez, and Cucurella, who was sent off by Peter Banks actually last season at the end of a match against Brentford Bruno Fernandes, scorer of the first Manchester United goal tonight, swings that one in, but it doesn't reach Maguire. Cleared by Chalobah. Here's Santos. João Pedro. Conditions are getting tricky, and Mazraoui is the furthest player forward here for Manchester United. He's got Amad Diallo coming up to support him now. And he has to buy time to allow others to get up there. Here's Dorgu. And Caicedo slip sliding away.
Time to be running with the ball, really.
Chalobah. Here's Caicedo. Fofana. Chalobah. Maguire trying to drive away through the middle. Well timed by India, he come a long way for that. Turkish goalkeeper's already made as many Premier League appearances this season coming into today as he'd done in his previous 2 years at the club.
Well, so much talk about the keepers at United. Sinalaman's on the bench, but India's got his clean sheet at the moment.
Well, is the time about to come for Alejandro Garnacho? He's certainly being instructed his way through what appears to be an imminent arrival by his manager. I think one or two United fans have just spotted that movement in the dugout because the cheers have started already. And Rabiot. Santos. There's Maguire. It has simmered from time to time. It was just an arm across from Harry Maguire on Andre Santos.
Yeah, I think the fact that Maguire is bigger than his opponent means he just caught him in the face. First of all, it was an arm on the chest, and he was just trying to fend off his man.
The reintroduction of Harry Maguire has done its job for Ruben Amorim so far. Brings that little bit of leadership.
Yeah, you know what you're getting with him. If I had a choice, he'd be in that back three every day of the week.
Actually made his Manchester United debut against Chelsea. He's scored against them, but also scored for them an own goal in an FA Cup semi-final defeat. No harm done with Andre Santos, with whom he came together then. Just explaining himself to João Pedro. For the moment, with Santos off the pitch. Cleared by Dorgu. He's trying to get it back, but James intervened. Here's Caicedo. Now Chalobah. Fofana. Santos desperate to get back on. Could be cut open here by Mbermo, but Adebayo held him up, and it's Brought clear by Moises Caicedo. Won back though by Ugarte. And here's Diallo.
Just a bit of a scrap at the moment in these conditions. Hard to play free-flowing football.
We had a game on Wednesday night. We expect the Chelsea players to be fairly heavy-legged, and another busy period to come as they launch their Carabao Cup campaign in the week. United, of course, without those midweek cup distractions until the new year at least. Here's Dorgu. Fernandes. Maguire's made a move forward. Leaves this one to Dorgu though. Dorgu's ball across is cleared by Chalobah. Fernandes with the ball across, which is well clear of Brian and Burmo.
Well, it was on, it was possible, had to be spot on, but just curled it a little too much.
Chalobah. And the pressure from Mazraoui, De Ligt, Diallo. Maguire sold short by the pass. Pedro's nicked it back. Maguire and Santos bundled each other over then. It broke. João Pedro's made up a lot of ground. Good recovery though by Mazraoui. James. Caicedo tries to steer it through. Shaw intervenes.
Just got an unpredictable air about it at the moment, this contest.
Well, they know that one goal would really unsettle Manchester United. They no longer have Cole Palmer's services to rely on. He went off injured. Now Wesley Fofana appears to have a problem as well. He's been so unlucky with injuries, Fofana.
You'd imagine they'd move away from five at the back.
Fofana has got forward. Here's James. Caicedo. Correa to Pedro. Reece James trying to get round the outside of Dorgu. Santos was climbing. Diallo was clearing. Here's Fofana. James. Chalobah to Cucurella. Fofana. Santos under pressure from De Ligt, who's pressing up high. Here's Enzo Fernandez. Chalobah. Caicedo trying to escape Ugarte, who hauled him down. it's clear with Chelsea that every free kick they win, they want to get on with, try and catch Manchester United off guard. They've been well focused so far, the United rearguard. United are going to make a change. Matheus Cunha is poised to come on. Here's Santos.
Next goal so big in the context of this. Chelsea get it, and all of a sudden it's game on big time. United get it, and it's probably game over.
Fernandes. João Pedro couldn't find a way around Harry Maguire, and despite his complaints, he was never getting a free kick for that. A little bit of space here though for Andre Santos. Now Pedro. Fernandes slides it through. Can James slide it across? He hasn't, and Ligt just gets rid of it.
Well, always difficult when you're going back towards your own goal, but even more in these conditions. Close to being offside, but De Ligt does the necessary. Brian and Burmo coming off. He's done well today. One of their best players.
Involved in the incident that saw Sanchez, the Chelsea goalkeeper, sent off. He's going to be replaced by Matheus Cunha, a return for him after he pulled up half an hour into Manchester United's only previous win this season against Burnley. Is it going to be in Burma? Have they changed their minds, maybe? Well, they're holding fire.
Was that just communication, or did he change his mind?
Or was it just an attempt to waste time?
Well, they're going to do it after this corner.
Well, yeah, change of heart. Malo Gusto and Tyreek George are going to come on for Chelsea as well at some point. Reece James's corner, got a flick on and turned in by Wesley Fofana. No, flag is up, won't count.
He's gone in on the keeper, but he's got to get back up again, Wesley Fofana. He's miles off.
More straightforward offside decision than the one earlier with Bruno Fernandes, which took a while. So the Chelsea changes are happening. So Cucurella and Fofana have gone off, and on have come Gusto and Tyreek George. So there's going to be no playing return to Old Trafford now for Alejandro Garnacho. That conversation that we saw him having earlier with Enzo Maresca must have been purely instructional. And the change is being made with Cunha coming on, but the player coming off, their identity's been changed. It's Mazraoui coming off.
Well, it looks like Chelsea have gone to a back four. United keep their three.
That is the other question, isn't it, about being rigid with a system, how sometimes you might have to change tack because of the circumstances during a game, but he always seems reluctant to do that, Ruben Amorim. There's Maguire. Adebayo. No need for United to change at the moment, of course, with the 2-0 lead that they have. But Chelsea looking to unsettle them. With George going through the middle, Pedro's playing slightly deeper, which is where a lot of people think he is at his best.
Yeah, he's just having to do a job with Liam Delap out. Jackson having gone to Bayern Munich.
did bring Mark Gue back from his loan spell at Sunderland. He's made the bench today but hasn't been called upon. And so Maresca indicating that he still wants to see some improvements from the former Barcelona man, who is still very young. Caicedo's quick throw in, back to him from João Pedro.
You can't say that Chelsea have really threatened United's goal, having had loads of the ball. Most of it has been in front of that United back five.
Santos. Caicedo to Andre Santos. Here's James. Gusto out of his normal position, playing on the left. Favours by that ball that was headed towards him as he was in retreat. Again, they're trying to get him forward. He was like a sprinter on the starting blocks for that last attack, but wasn't seen until it was too late and would have been offside anyway. Here's Dorgu. Santos. George, having been fended off, then gives away a free kick. Tariq George looked to be heading out of Chelsea during the last transfer window. Seemed to be heading to Fulham, although it never in the end materialised. And talking of Fulham, they are our next live match tonight. Fulham against Brentford comes up after this kick-off at 8 o'clock. Fulham with an unchanged team tonight. Here's Cunha. George.
Well, he's made his changes, Maresca, but United comfortably in control of this match at the moment. Blues not able to disturb that United rearguard.
Well, we're not going to see Garnacho against his old club, but we are going to see Mason Mount against his. He and Lenny Yoro are being thrown on here by Ruben Amorim, and then Burbo now finally is going on.
Yeah, another good performance by him now. And yet again a change to the back three is made by Ruben Amorim.
Yeah, he's made a change to his back three at some point during every Premier League match so far. Maguire is the only one who's not seeing this game through to its conclusion. But over the course of the season, only Matthias de Ligt has started in the back three and finished every game so far.
It's quite an unusual one. I mean, they're coasting really. Back three not troubled, and now the mixture has been changed.
United have not up to this point had a goal-scoring substitute in the Premier League. Brian Mbeumo Grimsby is the only one they have had. Here's de Ligt. Kept in by James. Here's Shaw. Shaw looking for Bruno Fernandes. Delicate little header. Chalobah arriving just ahead of Mason Mount, and Chalobah is one of those who's got to time every tackle right, which may not be easy in these conditions. Caicedo. Adebayo. Wide by Santos. George can operate centrally or out wide. Trying to play that one into João Pedro, but Manchester United have defended resiliently. He's had a very quiet day, hasn't he, the Manchester United goalkeeper?
Yeah, often we've said that. Amrin.
As he released that, he was caught by Tyrick George, and is there going to be further sanction against him? The referee had a long walk towards him and kept his card in his pocket until he was face to face, and then produces it.
It's always the way you try and close down somebody trying to clear it. And it's the follow through, I think, that causes the contact. Bayern Diaz actually kicked Tyrick George, which I do not see at all. He might be hurt, but it was the fact he kicked into George that caused the pain.
Here's Gusto. They were able to measure the back pass. Diallo. It's Fernandes. Caicedo, who was trying to break free with it when Mason Mount held him up, having heard the whistle, and then Andre Santos gets involved in something that was not really of his concern. And merely trying to prevent Chelsea breaking with it, knowing that it wasn't going to be to their advantage anyway as the whistle had gone.
No, it's a foul. No doubt about that. Good at protecting the ball. Fernandes knows exactly where Caicedo is.
Now walking away from a situation that was all a bit unnecessary. Free kick, cleared by Chalobah, Dorgu, back in by De Ligt, Canoe's climbing, Diallo came in round the back.
He's gone for the spectacular. The chance was there for him. I've seen too many goal scoring chances in this second half, but it was one of them.
Scored on the final day here last season. Here's Chalobah. Had the edge on James. He's hoping Prem will get all the way back, which he does.
And the rain's stopped now and the surface is a bit quicker.
Fernandez. Caicedo to Fernandez. James. Delict. Here's Ugarte. Shaw. Caicedo saw it escape, and Cunha has Fernandez only ahead of him. Cunha carrying on his run. Almost picked out by his skipper, but the bounce just favoured Chalobah. Here's James. Fernandez. Got a push from Luke Shaw. From De Ligt's point of view, Gusto just lost his footing. But it has been given as a foul.
Maybe a little bit of contact afterwards, but unlucky De Ligt there.
Caicedo. Chalobah on by Santos, back to him from Pedro. Andre Santos. Here's Malo Gusto. Still 12 minutes to go for Chelsea to find something in their first Premier League match outside of London this season. James. And it is a corner.
Yeah, a chance here for Chelsea, but in the main in this second half, 10v10, they haven't been good enough going forward. Haven't asked enough questions.
Fernandez with the ball in. Cleared to Gusto. James. Fernandez rolled into the path of Malo Gusto. He couldn't get it across, but he does the next best thing and wins for Chelsea. A corner. Liverpool still unbeaten, Crystal Palace still unbeaten, but is Chelsea's unbeaten start to the Premier League season about to go? Oh, they're back in it! Chalobah wins the header, and all the old doubts return now to haunt Manchester United.
Right, it's a quality ball in by Reece James, who's got plenty of time to pick his spot, and pick his spot he does. Chalobah gets up early, unchallenged, free header. You just wonder, Harry Maguire in there, would he have made the difference? Yoro, it floats over his head. Game on.
His second goal already this season, Trevor Chalobah. He scored in the 5-1 win at West Ham, and with 10 minutes to go, It's a very different scenario now for Manchester United. Look to be getting away from Chelsea after the early sending off of their goalkeeper, the raft of changes that Enzo Maresca was forced to make. Now back within reach after Manchester United also reduced in number, and now conceding a goal with the first thing really that has been directly at Bayindir's goal.
In the last 5 minutes, but that is their first effort on target, and it was a good one.
Here's João Pedro. Chalobah. Here's Reece James. Makes the run along the line. Yoro goes across there with him. James clips one across, and Diallo has to get that one away. Cunha had to ensure he was first to it ahead of Trevor Chalobah. And Maresca has seen his team do what they wanted and make Amorim and Manchester United just a little unsteady. Is that decision to take Harry Maguire going to come back and haunt the Manchester United boss?
I don't know if it was tiring Maguire, but it seemed a strange one, an unnecessary one.
Morrow. Gusto. Collected by Ugarte, but given away by Manuel Ugarte. Straight to Reece James, who doesn't make the most of it. Here's Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes carrying the fight and forcing the save from Jorgensen.
Absolutely brilliant by Manchester United's captain that. All on his own, and well capable of causing problems on his own. And urging the Stretford end to up the ante.
Well, even though it didn't lead to a goal, they needed that, Manchester United, to relieve some of the danger. Andre Santos placed the ball for Bruno Fernandes to try and get him to hurry across and take this corner kick, but it was a very laboured walk by the Manchester United skipper. They want to use up every second they can, or can they get a third? Headed away from in front of Yoro. Ugarte couldn't hit it. Santos looking for runners either side of him. Enzo Fernandez was further forward as he checked to his right. It was nicked back from him by United. Mount turns into trouble against Chalobah. Here's Cunha with Mount only now just getting back to his feet. Bruno Fernandes is in there again, has to hold off Gusto. And the ball back wasn't the best to Amad Diallo. We said the third goal of the game would be crucial, and from both teams' point of view now there's a sense that they have to go for another. Manchester United to ease to victory, and Chelsea to get something out of this game, a game that looked to have got away from them in the first half. The pacing of Ruben Amorim has started again. On the chase.
Get through a lot of work, Pedro, but he's kept going, leading that line.
Winning the throw-in. Looks like there might be a communication issue here. Wouldn't be surprised if a bit of water's got into the electronics.
It's always going to happen. Well, he got the ball rolling, didn't he? Bruno Fernandes anticipating. How many times has he been United's talisman? And Casemiro adding the second that might be very important now that it was 10 v 10. Does that put an element of doubt into this result?
An element of doubt that persists. And Bruno Fernandes handing the captain's armband over because he is now coming off. And when Manchester United last won a trophy, the FA Cup, the scorers of their goals were Alejandro Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo, who are on different sides of the divide tonight. Garnacho, who did get away, and Mainoo, who's given the impression that he might be prepared to leave as well. But for now, Ruben Amorim seems determined to keep him. Trying to coax that extra little bit out of his team here, the Manchester United boss, to see them to what will be only their second win of the season. It's one they desperately need, but it's one there are doubts over now. Here's Adarabioyo.
It would have been fascinating to see how this panned out. 11 v 11. Who would have gained the upper hand if either?
Here's Chalobah. Caicedo. James. Gusto taking on Diallo. And it's Trevor Chalobah. James. Gusto, the licked intervenes, now Mount. Diallo to carry it as far forward as he can, but he was a bit isolated out there. The only support was behind him. And Chelsea have won it back and find Reece James. A bit high, James did well to control it and to win the throw-in.
Still be a sting in the tail here. Interesting to see how many minutes added.
We're about to find out shortly. Yoro in a race with Chalobah. He does enough to at least allow Chelsea to regroup. The fourth official has the answer to the big question, and the answer is 7 minutes, which will delight the visitors and concern him. Adebayo. George. Tangle with Kobe Mainu, from which the Manchester United player gets the verdict. Well, Munich to Manchester, 2 games in 4 days against the teams they faced when first winning the Champions League, and the team they played in their first final. Are they about to lose both? Adebayo. Chalobah, who got an own goal in Munich, but has got a hope goal here. Fernandes.
A bit early, yeah, he has. Tyreek George.
Captain happy with that.
He's got through his steps again, hasn't he, Andrew?
Do you think he gets through more than any of his players?
Well, some maybe.
Confidence rising, but there is still 5 minutes to go.
Chelsea would have hoped that that goal by Chalobah would lead to a few more chances, but it's not been the case. United have dug in.
Well, Reece James's cross opened United up. They would perhaps want to involve him again. Santos looking to head in that direction via Caicedo. And now Fernandes. And here's James. Can he pull off the same trick again? It's a really good ball in there! And Santos has a strike that is blocked. But there's no doubt where the danger's coming from now for Manchester United. Reece James deliveries.
Yeah, quality's outstanding. To get the ball out to him.
Kenya has got it through, but he's offside, and so clearly offside. Diallo, that the flag goes up instantly.
Such a difficult ball to deal with, this. Whipped in at pace along the ground, and then it's all about luck. Who does he fall to?
Still Chelsea probe. James again. Now Chalobah. Caicedo. Gusto gets it across George. Let it run. Maybe assuming that Adebayo was closer to it, but it is a corner.
Nervous moments for the home team, these.
Fernandes with the corner in the rain here at Old Trafford. Goalkeeper does get a hand to it and clears the decks. Gusto. Fernandes trying to make inroads, goes down very theatrically. He's never going to get a penalty for that. Clearance up towards Diallo. Chalobah has to be sure. And he does enough, Trevor Chalobah. Struck across by Pedro. And Shaw saves the corner, but keeps it in to James's benefit. Dorgu emerges with it. Now can Manchester United put the game to bed? Nothing to the right of Cunha, only Amad Diallo to his left. Adebayo brings him down. He's going to get himself a booking for that, and it's a free kick for Manchester United, which they might just be able to get to see them through.
Yeah, Cunha doing well, attracting the challenge, and they'll take the time now, which should allow them to see this out and gain all 3 points.
So what do they do here, Manchester United? Do they have a proper goal, or will he want them to take it into an area just to protect the ball?
Dings it over to Ahmad.
Looked to be Ugate's initial thinking, but he's gone the other way instead to Dorgu. Kobe Mainu, no real thoughts of getting into the middle. He's won a corner now, and that will certainly see them over the line. Unless it's a very, very quick break. Glimmer of hope, a glimmer of light. It started well for his team with the sending off of the Chelsea goalkeeper Robert Sanchez in the 4th minute. That eased the path to a 2-goal advantage. Bruno Fernandes with the first and Casemiro with the second, but it was a second yellow card for Casemiro that made it a nervous second half for the home team. And when Trevor Chalobah scored with 10 minutes to go from a Reece James cross, it did make it very nervous indeed. But they do hold out. Manchester United 2, Chelsea 1.
And perhaps the most significant home win so far for Ruben Amorim as Manchester United manager. They had to fight in that second half when it was 10 against 10. They had to hold on in those final minutes when Chalobah did give Chelsea some late hope. How significant, Jamie, could that prove to be?
This is the biggest result of Manchester United manager, certainly at home. You know, I think about the one at Manchester City last year, but this was a huge one for him today. You know, it got edgy. Once Casemiro got sent off,